welcome back. Coding University, training humans to train themselves. Who we see ourselves determines a lot what we're going to accomplish and what we're going to do. And the question is, how do you see yourself? Well, you were trained to see yourself in a certain way, and therefore you do. It's just like the thoughts that you think, you were trained to think those thoughts. So as sorry, as was it Einstein put it, if the thoughts that we have today will only let us do what we do today, or something to that nature, and the only way for us to move forward is to get some new thoughts. So the question is, how do we get new thoughts? Well, not only how do we get new thoughts, how do we get new thoughts about who we are and what we become? I mean, right now, if you were raised in the middle income bracket, you are going to be thinking like a middle income person and think that's what you who you are and what you'll become and what you'll do and accomplish. If you're raised in welfare, you'll have a good chance of becoming a welfare recipient. If you were raised in some other way, that you just become like your culture, your family, and those people do. Okay, and then we just do what we do. We don't train ourselves. Now, we sort of know. We look back and we see, oh, they were raised by abusive parents, so they became this, or they were raised by a person of wealth, so they had all these opportunities, so they became that, or they had this genetics, so they became this, or we have tons of different excuses of why a person becomes what they become. And then we look at ourselves, well, I wasn't wealthy enough, I didn't have the status, I didn't have the genetics, I didn't have the opportunity, I wasn't lucky, or whatever. But we see all these methods of how a person goes from where they are to maybe to where some place that we'd like to be, and we don't have that, so we go, can't do it. Well, the biggest thing we're trying to get connected is that we can now train ourselves. See, before those were criteria, but now if you train yourself, you can now become a person who can accomplish a lot of different things. Okay, so what we want to start doing is that image of who we see ourselves as. We need to start connecting it to training. And there's, first a baby crawls, then it walks, then it runs. First a person does this, then it does that, then it does these. So we need to start investigating and exploring what is it a person does first, and then what do they do, and what happens next, and how do they then become a great businessman, a great actor, a great whatever, and accomplish great things in life. So what we want to start doing is connecting that we now can train ourselves to be able to do those things that we couldn't do before. So now, one of the biggest challenges is that we need to get that vision first, and we need to start playing around with that vision and start connecting that vision with how people could get there if they were trained themselves, self-made men, so to speak, self-made women, so to speak, so that they could actually accomplish these things, not because they were wealthy, not because they had great genetics, not because they were lucky or had great opportunities, but because they decided that that's what they wanted to do, trained themselves, started increasing the odds for themselves, and soon it happened. So we want to start getting connected to that, but we can only get connected to that as we start slowly training ourselves to do different things. And as they say, success is built upon success, and that is a lot of times because you start seeing you can grow yourself, you can train yourself to do things, and as you start seeing the ways that work better, you'll start believing in them more. But remember, force, don't go that route. Start learning to train yourself in the more natural ways where you develop, create interest, create excitement, start getting into the details, start seeing those, creating those level 2 visions of how you could actually accomplish some things that are real right now, and take it to the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level. So we got to start generating that vision of what we could be as greater, and actually feel it and start connecting it to ourselves, and that's going to feed back and drive even more us to believe in ourselves more and more. So what do you see yourself, who do you see yourself as today? Well, who do you see yourself as tomorrow after we start generating some of this new thinking, these new connections, these new associations? If a person trains themselves, what could they accomplish? And start seeing that in other people and those other self-made men, and that you could do that as well. And start seeing some of the places you have done it in little places and in other little places. I mean, we've all have parts of our life where, just like I really got into snow skiing and I accidentally did that, but that's a place where I can look back and say, yes, that was not work at all. I did not force it at all, and I learned to snow ski. And we go back to those places those things that we've learned to do, and start looking at that, and then start taking that and using it to help guide who we're going to become. And now we can start creating those stronger and stronger visions of us doing greater and greater things. Who are you? And what will you do in your life? Well, that could be something truly amazing. And you want to start today, creating something and starting getting some new thinking about that. All right. Vibe Coding University, training humans to train themselves. All right. I'll talk to you in a bit here.